and I'll be watching from places. What's
You
neat
can
is we
have
don't-
a chair.
It's
Yeah,
just
you're
one
allowed. You are allowed. You get a chair if you want one. Okay, so this I do not touch at all. That's
I
great.
will do all the touching.
Great. So now I can go here.
It won't. You can't advance it. You can just follow.
I'll advance it for you.
Okay.
But that's so that you can see what they're looking at.
Okay.
That's what they're looking at.
Can I quickly review what's here? Okay, so to access Glisser, just check your check the link in the description of the video.
So this is what it'll look like for them, but the link is right there.
Okay.
And it's glsr.it
Okay.
/digital storytelling.
Great.
So we are live
3 minutes early.
right now.
Okay.
And things appear to be stable.
Great.
I can hear, I'm listening to the stream.
Excellent. Hello. Welcome to the digital storytelling live stream event 2018.
I will. I'm like, it's like about 20 seconds or 10 seconds behind, but that's fine.
Okay.
That's typical. If necessary, it is throwing me off. But if necessary, I might at some point in the stream have to like turn it off and turn it back on again. But we could just do that. That's a thing that we could just do easily. So that won't be a problem.
Okay.
But
it is a thing.
so let's see.
We're live here.
So yes, we are live. We're working up there's a few kinks that we're working out. But yes, you're live.
So yes, we are live. Excellent.
Are you live on the event though, or are you live on something separate? I do not know. Okay, because I'm on the event link and it's saying that it's waiting for us to go live.
Yes.
So maybe we're live on a different thing on the Lane Arts. Yeah, we are live on the Lane Arts sort of dealio.
Still says that I could be the first to ask a question, but I already asked a question.
We can hear you whispering really well.
Great. Great. I'm glad we're here. We're here, Digital Storytelling Live Stream Event 2018. This is supported by the Lean Arts Council and Mozilla Gigabit Fund. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be here able to answer your questions if you follow the link in the description of the live stream event to Glisser. Glisser will be our interactive portal, so feel free to open another tab and enter that interactive space. If you have a question, that's where you can ask it. We'll be doing a few polls today, so that's also where you can interact with polls. This is a lot of fun, and I'm excited to get to interact with you. So feel free to go now to the Glisser site by opening a new tab and entering the address into your new tab for Glisser, which is in your comments section of the digital storytelling live stream. Once we get to that Glisser, there should be you'll see the digital storytelling, I guess, plate or picture that says digital storytelling. And we'll advance to the first poll. So once you're on Glisser, go ahead and answer the question. Answer that first poll. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you showing up to our live stream training. You'll get a chance to dive into the world of digital storytelling. And I've found it to be a very intriguing world, and I'm curious what season you would be. So if you're all logged into Glisser, please respond here. If you're a season, all you have to do is right. Great. All right. So it looks like 1/3 of us would be winter, 1/3 of us would be spring, 1/3 of us would be summer, and nobody chose fall. So good thing we're here in winter. All right. Great. So we'll move on to the next slide on Glisser. Here's another fun poll. If you were a vegetable, what vegetable would you be? And you'll see a few options in the Glisser window that you can choose any of them. So we're testing the polls to make sure you've got a chance to weigh in with your own point of view. So feel free to find your vegetable. What is your spirit vegetable? Let's see, I'm going to choose one. I have some great memories of some very fresh examples of this. So, all right. Okay. Great. So we'll just dive straight in. Digital storytelling. This is the art of telling your or your students' original story using digital multimedia. This digital multimedia can be photographs, videos, animation, music, text, or narration. Many of you already are using some of the elements of digital storytelling. So on our next slide, we will show a couple examples of digital storytelling. So go ahead and tune into this first example, which is Rome. You can also copy this link to check it out at a later date. This is another example of digital storytelling, an excellent one called Bear 71. And this is a pretty beautiful, emotional story about a bear in a national forest in Canada, and the bear's experience there from the bear's point of view. So if you'd like to check this one out, copy the link and either put it in another tab on your browser or save it in your notes so you can check it out. Often when we get a chance to watch a digital story like those two, like Rome or there any way to actually show the stories? Okay. It's okay.
Give me 1 second. There we go.
Okay. And we're back.
At various points, we may have to restart the stream, but it shouldn't affect viewing too much.
Okay. So after those examples, checking out the discussion questions. So it's time again for another poll. What elements of digital storytelling do you already use? Go ahead and choose one or two that you already use. What's the element that you use most often? Perhaps you use books in your classes, or videos, or photography. So some of these, go ahead and choose. So it looks like people use a lot of music, soundtrack, and popular music to tell their stories or to teach already. That's excellent, and that's a really important part of telling a digital story. Any tool that you already use is a great tool to have in your toolbox. So just know that you're not starting from scratch. You already have some of these available to you. The equipment that we use for our digital storytelling residencies are iPad technology with free multimedia applications, like the ones you see on your screen on Glisser. Either Adobe Spark Video is a cross-platform free option that fits a lot of schools' technology resources. Already in the iPad world and the Apple world, and that come just preloaded onto iPads and Mac computers are iMovie and GarageBand that are very useful apps for editing video or editing or creating music. The GarageBand app for iPad is extremely user-friendly and does happen to have touch screen technology, making it so much easier for young people to interact with the instruments and the options that are available.
But it's okay. It says it's still live. You probably can't hear anything because I'm watching it right now. There we go.
Okay.
We're back up.
Great. Flip a Clip is a frame-by-frame animation where student users can draw with their finger or a stylus and create different frames to finally animate a story. Stop Motion Studio is great for students who'd like to draw by hand and capture their story by using a timer and taking pictures as they're creating their own drawings. Stick Nodes is an animation software, much like Pivot, if you're familiar with that, where a student can animate a stick figure by moving the appendages of the stick figure and creating new frames. So therefore, their character can go through different backgrounds or have different motions where they don't have to redraw the character every time. Adobe Illustrator is a great way for a student to have layer-based photo and draw editing capabilities. So if you have any questions about these applications, please ask a question via Glisser. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next slide here and take a poll on what technology equipment is available to you in your setting, in your educational setting. Let's see. So it looks like some of you are using Chromebooks, some are using PC laptops, and some are using Apple laptops, and some of you are using an iOS tablet device. So this is great, which
Running.
okay. If you're on. how can you keep that technology that you have and have happy and healthy for your students? This is important because many students are handling this technology. In the digital storytelling residencies, we start with a community agreement that includes respecting the technology and that we have available to us. It's very wise to have a charging station, or I know many schools have cows where you can plug in your device immediately. This can be a way for students to take charge of charging. Make sure that you're smart in how you transport your technology and do it safely. I've found that it tends to be heavy, so if you have a way to transport it with wheels, such as the cow or such as a wheeled device, this can save you a lot of time, effort, energy, and keep you from the danger of slipping and falling with too much technology. It's cold and flu season. I recommend having some disinfecting wipes to keep especially tablets healthy during this cold and flu time. And it's not a bad idea to have some disinfecting going on in a computer lab. The check-in and check-out process of
very long. You can restart really quickly. And I think we're good. Go ahead.
All right, now it's time for you to choose your own adventure. What would you like to learn about? And if time permitting, we'll be able to hit both of these, but what interests you more? Would you like to learn about Adobe Spark Video, a free cross-platform application used to tell digital stories? Or would you like to learn first of the phases of digital storytelling and how to implement technology throughout the phases? To answer this poll, just go to the Glisser and select which one you'd like to learn about first. All right, let's see. So it looks like the poll says we should start with Adobe Spark Video. So on the YouTube live stream, we're going to go to our digital storytelling folder on the home screen of our iOS tablet that we're using. So I've organized this into a folder so that students can easily find the applications we'll be using for a digital storytelling residency. So I'll open that up. And you can see the apps that we are using. I'm going to touch Adobe Spark Video. And here is our home screen. The home screen is where all of the Adobe Spark videos that different students have been working on are saved. We have a login. A single login means that all of your stories will be in one place. But if you have a student login for each student, then only their stories will show up in the My Videos section. A really great thing about Adobe Spark Video is that there is an inspiration tab where you can check out some great digital stories. And for examples. Okay. The first thing you do when you'd like to start your own Adobe Spark Video is to press the red plus. then this will take you to a page where you can ask yourself what your title or your idea for your story is, your working title. Let's say, let's call this my first live stream. Once you've chosen a title for your digital story, you can press Next. There are many templates that you can choose from, and there's a description of each of these templates underneath the template itself. So I could tell what happened. I could follow a hero's journey. We could show and tell or describe something. Talk about my own experience that changed how I view the world, or teach a lesson. An invitation to an upcoming event, or you can start from scratch. You can choose any of these by tapping on them, choosing pick one or start from scratch. So we'll start from scratch to have the maximum customizability. All right, so here we are in the main screen of Adobe Spark Video. Along the top, you'll see a home on the top left corner, and that will take you back to your videos. On the top, as we're going across the top, you see a layout option. This will change your slide. If you'd like a full screen picture, a split screen, or a title and text. I'm going to choose title and text for my first slide. This will only be the layout for the slide that you have currently. So I'm going to add next, as we go around the screen, is the themes option. Themes are a way to add color or font options to your digital story. As I'm scrolling through here, I think I'll start with noir. Next, as you go across the top of your screen, you'll see music is an option, and there's current songs that are already built in with the theme, or you can change your song here. To preview a song, you'll just tap on it to listen to what the song would be. If you'd rather not have a song at all, you can tap the garbage can icon next to the stop and play, which would get rid of any music for that first slide. It's worth noting that there's an option to choose a song from your iPad. If you have songs already downloaded on your iPad, you can use them for this project. Now I'm going to go to the center of the screen where I'll choose an option for a photo in the background. That comes up with many options on where you can find your photos. Some of these we use, I've noticed in the residencies, we use more than others. Find Photos is a way to scroll through stock photos that are Creative Commons, okay, which means we don't have to worry about copyrighted images. On my iPad, is also a powerful way to find anything in your camera roll and use that on your presentation. You can also take a picture directly within the application. So we'll start with Find Photo. Here, I'm going to type in a search term, live stream, and press enter to search for live stream. Some of these photos have something to do with the topic, and some won't. So basically, as you're scrolling through, you might see something that works best for your topic. Or if you're not finding anything that works well for you, you can always change your search term by pressing the back arrow. I'll change this to technology, a broader search term. Great. And now I'm starting to see something that looks a little bit more like what I would like to show. I'm choosing the elephant drinking my coffee because it's fun. Now, since I chose a layout for this, which allows me to add a title, I'm going to add a title here. I can also add a subtitle. If I wish. Another powerful feature of Adobe Spark Video is that you can record your own voice that will be perfectly synced to each slide. So to record your voice, you hold the button that has a red icon to record. This is the story of my first live stream. You can preview each slide by pressing the arrow that's directly below the slide. You can re-record if you would like to change what you've recorded on that slide. And it's worth noting this on the corner, there's a place where your narration can either be removed or you can adjust the timing for each slide. Now, if you look to the bottom of the screen, you'll see a few different slides. These are all the slides so far in my presentation. This is where I can either duplicate or preview my slideshow, as well as add new slides, which I'm going to add a new slide right now. Another option that's pretty fun is to add an icon. And through these these Creative Commons licensed icons. So let's see what they have for technology. Great. And here's where I can browse and find the icon that works best for me. Oh. Now I can change the music or the layout for each slide. So if I'd like to start with some music on this slide, I can adjust the volume of the music here and add a new layout, which would give me an option to split my screen into two. You can switch which is your image and what other element you'd like to add. Great. And you can add slides with videos on your iPad, if there's any videos that work for what you're trying to do. Maybe that would work. Let's see. Great. And I can choose and edit what I want to show of that video. Perhaps I only want that one moment there. I just press done, and we can add the video to my presentation as a new slide. That does bring up a few other options on the corner, where you can cut what you will be showing and what you won't be showing. You can continue to the next slide if you'd like with that icon. And you can adjust the audio of the video. So perhaps I'd like to mute it so that I can record over it. And again, pressing the red button to record your audio. Perhaps I'd like to remove the narration. Easily done, or you can re-record. Now, you can add, once you're finished with your presentation, you can add your own credits. And it will add automatically any of the work that was Creative Commons. So you won't need to worry about any copyrighted work. Great. And so that is a quick walkthrough of how to make a presentation on Adobe Spark Video, how to link and share your Adobe Spark Video once it's finished. It's easy to check out your presentation. From the bottom, we'll play your slideshow from the top, from the very beginning. Excellent. If you're happy with it, you'll press the share arrow on the top right-hand corner of your screen, and you have options to save it to your camera roll, to send it in an email, or to copy your link to a clipboard. I'd recommend saving it to your camera roll first so that you have a backup copy. Save early and often, I like to tell my students. And sending an email, it will attach your video, and you can change your author info. And if you choose to share your work, then it will be attached to an email. and you can send it to whomever you'd like. This is a great option for those of you who would like to show your students digital stories from your own computer. If you have them email you, all of the digital stories will show up in your inbox, easily able to be dragged and dropped onto your desktop for easy playing options. So, great. Does anybody have any questions about Adobe Spark Video? If you do, go to your Glisser page and enter your questions, and we can moderate any questions from there. All right. Otherwise, we'll just move right ahead, move right along to the phases of digital storytelling. It usually helps students understand where they are and where they're trying to get by having a good plan and a way for them to know where they are in the process. So here's the phases of digital storytelling that I found to work very well. Your first phase being an idea. You can use an idea web to help students find what their interests are. Often I'll have a student put their name in the middle and the things that they're interested in. Like, like for me, I'm interested in the garden. I'm interested in the cello and teaching, writing, etc. And each one of those would be a branch from that seed. Once they have a few branches, then each branch can sprout leaves or the branches that they find the most interesting. So let's say I'd like to talk more about travel. So I'm going to sprout the most leaves on that branch, the places that I've been, the places I'd like to go. Or perhaps I'd like to focus more on the garden, and I can make leaves on what I have gardened before, what I'd like to garden in the future. Some folks have a little trouble brainstorming, so if they work better or are social learners, interviews are a really excellent way to get to the point where they find an idea that is inspiring. So with these interviews, this is also how to integrate technology into your idea. You can split your class into groups, and each group takes a photo of each member in your group. You import the photo into Adobe Spark Video, like we've run through, and add text to each video to what element they identify with, which water, air, earth, fire, or spring, summer, winter, and fall. Our next phase is the planning phase. So in this phase, we can utilize the story arc or a storyboard if the student is more inclined to draw than they are to write. So the story arc is shown on Great. who the story is about and where they start the story. The next part with the rising action is the things that happen to bring you to the most heated moment of the climax. Or if this was a symphony, this would be where the timpani and the cymbals come in. The falling action is kind of what happens because of the climactic event. In here, it's the wolf gets, is trying to blow down these houses, but is not successful. And in the falling action, this is what happens afterwards. So once the wolf is not successful, the pigs then are able to make their way to the brick house. And then their resolution is where the characters end up in that story. Often students ask if it has to be a story about themselves or if it can be a story about something else. I've found that the best digital stories often have a personal origin element to them. So finding something that they can speak about that they're inspired by is a great way to get an excellent digital story. Storyboarding is similar to the story arc. However, a student does not need to necessarily write out all of their ideas in text. They can use their artistic abilities. Storyboards are often frame by frame, and in my residency, I require that students have at least 5 frames, one for each of the nodes on the story arc. So a frame for the exposition, a frame for the rising action, a frame for the climax, the falling action, and the resolution of the story.
Wait a second. Just get some. Okay, you're actually good.
Okay. Often the storyboard can be accompanied by different terms for shot, camera angles. In iMovie, once you press plus, you have 2 options to create a movie or a trailer. In the trailer option, you can choose a trailer that fits your theme or fits your interest and preview it. But once you choose a trailer, okay. Within this storyboard, you can tap on any of these options, and these will show how long the shot will be, 3.6 seconds, and what type of shot they're looking for, a group shot. You can go to a camera to take a photo of whatever is in front of your camera. Or you can choose from your photos or your videos. So, let's see. There we go. I will choose a photo for this first, though that is not a group shot. You understand how to input a photo. Videos work much the same way. The camera option means that you can take your photos or videos live, and they'll record. And once the recording is over, they'll be put into the storyboard. This is a great tool to teach storyboards. All right, within the plan phase. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in on the Glisser page. Great. Our next phase is the production phase, and this is the meat and potatoes. This is the most important part of the process. Now your students have a toolbox full of tools at their disposal to tell their story. During this phase, instructors should be well acquainted with the applications the students are using and know how to transfer files. If you review the student's plan before you check technology out, this often gives them a chance to review their plan and to get them on track to where they need to be in their plan. And as we went through before, Adobe Spark Video is intuitive and easy for those of us on a time crunch. This phase, I like to call it creative chaos, because often students are in different spaces or different places using different applications. So I've found if there's a way for students to access a courtyard area or a hallway area, this minimizes the creative chaos in one room and gives students a few different settings in case they'd like to use the video option. So that moves us on to the next phase of the process, which is the editing phase. This is when a student who's been producing their own work can show their work to another and ask for input on what was effective and what could be better, and then take that input and revise the work. Often this input has to do with the pacing of your story, whether it's fast enough for people's interest to continue to be whether it's too fast or too slow. Legibility of each slide, often choosing a high contrast words on top of a photo, or any audio tweaks are common editing feedback issues. Kind and honest feedback when you're giving feedback and when you're getting feedback is much appreciated, and it can be a point where an teachable moment. And our next phase is the presentation phase. To be ready for the presentation phase, you should check your video and audio connections before the class starts. If you are asking students to send you their presentations, this can happen the class before. Make sure that they have a chance to send you their presentations. This is a showcase of their work and a celebration of how much hard work they've put into their presentations. And that is our final phase in the process, and that also is the digital storytelling phase. So if you have any questions or feedback for me on this live stream event, please submit them in the Glisser window, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you all so much for tuning in here today to our Lane Arts Council Mozilla Gigabit Fund live stream event. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope to see your digital story.